Hey guys, it is Kyle, aka Vulcan Wolverine, and it is December 6th, 2018. I hope all you guys are doing okay. I hope you're, making it through this, finding some comfort. I feel pretty bad today. I was kind of, I don't know, I've been, I've been kind of putting off making this video because I felt so crappy. But I kind of want to finish it up. This is based on well, gosh, I'm really flabbergasted today. I've been watching. I hate this. I've been watching I watched The Walking Dead, and I've been watching Fear the Walking Dead. It's like a spin-off of The Walking Dead, and I find it really sad how I connect with those shows so much because of what we're going through. I find it kind of disturbing. Like the characters in that, they're going through all this, the zombie apocalypse and everything's weird and people are crazy and they go through so much trauma and stuff like that. And I'm kind of like, I don't want to connect with those shows so much, but I do. Um, but let's get on with this. I'm going to try and struggle through it today. Just feeling very shaky. I went shopping and stuff like that, and just trying to make it through. I know you guys are too. I'm going to kind of jump around here. So this is from the same article by Science Direct, and the web page is up at the top if you guys want to get it and look through it. I feel like this is really important. Like I said last time, this is brain to computer interface technologies that DARPA was researching, which then these protocols, or I'm 100% sure these protocols were then put into this widespread non-consensual human experimentation that we're going through. So I'm gonna kind of jump down. Just I'm swallowing a lot today. My throat really hurts a lot, and I didn't listen to Dave Case's CD last night. I fell asleep on my leather chair and just woke up kind of feeling just really bad. Just feeling really bad. And Christmas is coming up too, so I gotta go shopping. I'm kind of I used to love Christmas. I still do. It's my favorite holiday, but just I don't know. This is really hard, and this is just really hard. It's like being in a different reality from the people that we love. But we got to keep on putting out information. We got to keep doing this. I was gonna do a live stream, but I'm just so tired. I kind of want to. This information. I know that it's kind of boring for me to just read through it, but it's really really important. I kind of want to do a live stream with something fun. I was thinking about going through maybe clips of movies that, things that I think of to get me pumped up, to get me adrenalized, and get me through this, and do a live stream on that. But let's go down. I'll get started. I don't want to blab too much because I kind of just want to get through it. Just not feeling very great today. But I want to do something, I want to. So I've been binge watching that Fear the Walking Dead, and it's amazing because most things I have so much ADD from the trauma of this, and I can't keep focused for a long time. But when I watch The Walking Dead or this new one, I'm just I want to watch the next episode. I want to, because the characters are going through so much hell, and I feel like that. I hate it so much because I think when a lot of people watch those shows, they're just like, oh man, this is so fantasy, people. But I look at it and I look at the way that people react in a world like that, where they're surviving and they're hurting other people to survive and stuff like that. And it makes me sad because I'm like, the world that we're in now is very much like that. I really hate that. I hate that. I would rather just watch those shows and be like, oh, this is total fantasy, and that would never happen, and the world is good. But I just see so many parallels to how things are now. And I know we're not in a zombie apocalypse or anything like that, but you know, for a targeted individual, sometimes it feels like that. I mean, like we're surviving day to day, being tortured by weapons, and then when we go out, there's gang stalking, which is kind of like zombies. They don't know what they're doing, and we've got to find a way to like survive them and go to places and get food and try and meet people that are good. And it's just it's a very unfortunate that I feel that way when I'm watching those shows, where I can really relate with the characters going through so much trauma and their world just being totally flipped upside down. But it is. I mean, it's what it makes me feel. All right, so I'm gonna skip down pretty far. This part is going through more of the injury recovery and repair that DARPA was doing for you know, like artificial limbs. So like basically reorganizing neurons to put in sensory motor functions that aren't there, so that like if you touch something with an artificial limb, you would actually feel those things because it would send certain signals to the brain artificially, like our remote neural manipulation does to us. So I'm gonna go down further, and give me 1 second, guys. I drank a Red Bull too, so I'm pretty jittery today. But I just woke up, and y'all can probably tell I just feel like crap. But the show must go on. We got to get information out. We got to fight till we cannot fight any longer. Oh gosh, my parents came into town today. I haven't seen them yet. And it's like when they come into town now, it's like I should be like, oh man, my parents came into town. I get to hang out with them and stuff like that because they live in Florida. But now I get this feeling like, man, I feel like I'm dying, and I don't really want to see them because like I know I'm going to talk about this, and I know that they're going through hard times too. Oh man, it's just now. This is just for now though. You know, I know that we will have ups and downs with targeting, and I've just got to, you know, when I feel bad, I need to do something like this, put information out so I feel like I'm being productive and getting information out there, and wait for those times when I feel better. Yeah. All right. So anyway, let me go down here. I'm going to go down to the part where co-adaptive brain-to-computer interface for restoration of sensory motor function. Go past that. So here we go. I want to start here today, and I kind of want to finish this up, and I'm going to do like something fun on a live stream. Something inspirational. I need something inspirational. I know that y'all do, but I want to get through this first, and then you know, then I'll do a cool live stream where it's just about pumping ourselves up, just about making ourselves more hopeful and faithful. And things are changing. This information is getting out, not fast enough. You know, it's definitely not fast enough. The amount of trouble that our society's in because certain people have this technology. But let me go ahead and finish this off. So this is reliable neural interface technology with the remarkable success demonstrated under DARPA's BMI, hand, and revolutionizing prosthetics programs. The formation of multidisciplinary research teams such as BrainGate and the advancement of BCI study at universities across the globe, researchers began to notice that the longevity of their brain-to-computer interface study capability varied dramatically. Initially, the vast majority of cortical implants were used in acute animal studies aimed at understanding and decoding brain activity. Some researchers transitioned from acute to chronic studies and were able to maintain partial cortical implant recording capability for years, while other researchers experienced interface failures much earlier. Now, this is talking about actual, you know, electrodes on the brain, which I mean they've way surpassed that, where they're using electromagnetic pulses and microwaves to actually connect with the brain and the nervous system. But they're talking about things that people can digest. I'm sure they were actually doing human studies on that. And the thing is, what you got to realize is that remote microwaves have been around since like 1950 something, maybe longer than that, and they were hitting people with those, you know, like in the Moscow incident, and other incidences too. The CIA did, you know, Project Moonstruck. But this information is important because those weapons, those microwave weapons, combined with this brain research with electrostimulation, that's where these protocols came from that are targeting us, that are neurally targeting us, that are targeting our nervous system, the trauma-based behavioral control stuff. It's like combining those weapons with, okay, well, we know that this certain electrical stimulation can do this to the brain, then combining it with remote neuro weapons. So let me continue here. Oh man, I feel really horrible today. Let me breathe a little bit. Yeah, I really got to use Dave Case's CD every night. You know, if I miss a night, the ringing sound, the tinnitus-like sound comes back really strong, and they start kind of the grounding's still working pretty good, but what I'm going to read a little bit later on can kind of explain how they adapt. I mean, our attackers do adapt to defenses because they switch the frequencies. They go up and down the electromagnetic spectrum. And they can also, well, let me keep reading real quick, but it gets to it. Some of this research goes into actually following brain states. So when the brain, like, your brain changes frequency over time, just naturally, and some of this research was into following that, the brain's plasticity basically, and its frequency change, so it can follow and target that frequency that it's adapting to. I don't know how well they can do that now, but it seems like our brains change frequency naturally over time, yet our attackers stay hooked in. So this research on following that natural change, you know, is used in our torture too, because it's like after a year, your brain frequencies are going to change naturally, yet our attackers still hit, and maybe hit even harder, and actually hook in more. What word am I looking for? Hook in more powerfully. God, that's just a horrible way to say it, but stronger to our nervous system and our brain. Hold on. This video is sponsored by Red Bull. This video is sponsored by electronic cigarettes. This video is sponsored by forks. All right. So let me drink more pure sugar to make myself feel better. For some of this, I only have myself to blame. Like, while we're being attacked, we need to drink water and stuff like that. I gotta do it. I gotta do it so I can feel like drinking like water instead of cold drinks can make you feel like a certain percentage better, and you can catch those winds kind of like a sailboat. Like, if you can get yourself feeling better like 15%, then it's like a sailboat catching the wind, and then you feel a lot better. And I need to do some of those things, especially like cleansing baths and stuff like that. I'm eating pretty healthy. I'm eating like a lot of fish, a lot of yogurt, a lot of raw vegetables and stuff like that, but I've got a long way to go. I mean, we really have to fight, and we can't just be like, you know, a lot of normal people that aren't getting targeted, they may drink a lot of cold drinks and it's no big deal, but to us, it kind of makes a difference, because it can make you feel worse, like 5%, and then that kind of catches like a sailboat too. Okay, so the neural prosthesis research community began to form initial hypotheses as the cause of these failures through historical analysis of explanant devices and surrounding tissue. However, hypothesis testing proved challenging given the large number of variables to control, including surgical protocols, animal models, decoding approaches, and electrotechnologies. Neural interfaces that are unreliable present a significant challenge to the clinical translation of these devices and can also delay progress in basic neuroscience research. Therefore, understanding the mechanisms of these failures became critically important. Today, overcoming interface failure is arguably the largest remaining hurdle that researchers striving to understand and decode brain function must achieve. Without overcoming these issues, the vision of lifelong BCI systems will remain just outside of reach. And we know that's not true. They're mass, wide-scale research and development, mass, wide-scale, worldwide, non-consensual human experimentation with remote neuroweapons, to hook into the nervous system and the brain. So they have overcome a lot of these older technologies and older electrodes that they have to use and older implants, and they talk about these implant studies that they've done. These are ones that they're talking about. There's a lot of them that they don't talk about. They won't talk about because they're black budget programs with non-consensual human experimentation. So that's why in this article they're not going to say, and today we are, experimenting on, hundreds of thousands of Americans in the United States, and other countries are also doing so. And I don't know, it could be millions. It could be millions of Americans. It could be millions in every country. We just don't know because there's no polls taken. There's no like how many people is this happening to. And a lot of targets, they don't come out with testimonies. They will not talk about it. They keep going to their job. A lot of people think that they're just going insane, and a lot of people know what's going on, but they just don't want the stigma of what this entails. Now, a lot of us, and this is me, there's no other way. This is really happening. It's dangerous for our species, and just a lot of people, and more power to you. Whatever you got to do to feel like a human being and to get through this. If you don't want to talk about this and live your life, I'm not going to judge that. I'm not going to judge that at all. But for me, it's like this is the only thing to do. The only thing to do is speak out. Because it's not just about me. It's not just about me looking crazy or you guys looking crazy. Or it's about more and more children being researched on, more and more lives. Like, and maybe in the future, if this is successful and people don't push back on it enough, the things that may happen, like, a little baby in the womb might be hooked up to a bidirectional stream of energy and never know its own thoughts for its whole life. We're looking at that kind of shit. We're looking at very serious shit that we don't know. We don't know the pathway if we don't stop this. We do know the pathway if we do, if this is regulated and people do know about it. The technology is watchdogged, and it can be used for the good of society, and anybody who uses it to torture somebody for their life or hook it into their system for their life will be, prosecuted or executed, All right, the Reliable Neural Interface Technology, RE-NET program was established to identify and solve problems of extracting neural information from the nervous system. So the Reliable Neural Interface Technology program was established to identify and solve problems of extracting neural information from the nervous system at the scale and rate necessary to control high-performance prosthetic limbs for chronic periods of time. Chronic periods of time, years and years and years, and a whole lifespan. So we're seeing a pattern here. We're seeing that this research and development to hook in certain signals to the brain and the nervous system and to control limbs, they would have that for this kind of remote neural manipulation on us through our whole lifespan, which we're trying to stop. I do not want to go through this my whole life. I'm praying to Jesus, praying to God that some miracles come our way and this stops, I do not want to go through this my whole life. And I know all of you guys don't either. I mean, obviously. This DARPA effort contained 3 separate components designed to identify and eliminate interface failure. The first effort, histology for interface stability over time, and I think this is the part, initiated in 2010, was developed to characterize and quantify neural signal detection failure associated with chronically implanted electrode arrays. No, it's not the part. The reliable central nervous system interfaces and reliable peripheral interfaces programs, both of which began in 2011, were aimed at preventing interface failures, advancing motor decoding performance of neural interface technologies placed in the brain, peripheral nerves, and muscles, and restoring somatosensory function. I know that this is like complicated and boring, but I'm just going to read it out because there are a couple of important parts. I mean, all of this is important, but it is very complicated science talk, and you know, it's meant to be that way. It's meant to be that way, so it's not so simply understood. But it's important to read about it because this is where our torture comes from. This is where angles of our torture comes from. The ability to detect neural activity is dependent on the quality of the device. The HIST program evaluated both biotic and abiotic device failure modes, that is, the biological or tissue responses that may be related to the disrupted or reduced ability to detect neural activity, as well as the device-related or system-related failures such as material, manufacturing, or system interconnects. RCI efforts developed and demonstrated novel materials, electrodes, and interface systems to increase the reliability and function duration of cortical interface systems. Additional efforts under the program have focused on emulating and subsequently decoding motor control signals from functional brain networks in order to control advanced prosthetic devices. One such effort presented in the special issue involved the development of a novel virtual reality system for non-human primates capable of emulating all the natural movements of a healthy limb. The RCI outcome will enable researchers to demonstrate reliable high bandwidth control, of unconstrained many degree of freedom movements. It's really long. All right, let me skip down. Let me go ahead and skip down here. Okay, yeah, this is where I kind of want to skip down to. I skipped down to the wrong place. So 3.2, narrative networks. This is narrative networks, what James Giordano talked about, a colleague of his working on at DARPA. And we need to understand what this is, because this is what's happening. Like, they're torturing us, they're experimenting on us, non-consensual human experimentation. Then the gang stalking is put in, DHS fusion centers, and FBI, InfraGard, and things like that. It's all going into researching neural networks and brain structure and function in the face of what is this person going to do? How is this person going to react? So that's what narrative networks is. That's what narrative networks was trying to do, and it kind of funneled into a lot of our what Brian too talks about and Robert Duncan talk about, the hyper game theory. So narrative networks initiated in 2011 and anticipated to continue through 2015. The N2 program, and I kind of want to, because that's 2011, right? 2011, they're talking about narrative networks, but targeted individuals and gang stalking has been around for much longer. I mean, we're talking about probably the 1950s really, but when it became probably fully remote was probably about in the 1970s, and they didn't do it to as many people, but it was still done sparsely throughout the world. Now they're pulling in tons of people to be targeted. So some of this that was already done funneled into research programs into DARPA, and then some of the things that DARPA did then refunneled back into the targeting. It's kind of complicated, but it's not like, okay, DARPA researched and developed this stuff, then it went out. It was like from research and development in the field, non-consensual research and development, DARPA got some of these ideas and did some more smaller research, and then it funneled back into protocols used to torture us. So initiated in 2011 and anticipated to continue through 2015, the N2 program was created to develop a quantitative approach to the analysis of narratives and their influence on human cognition and behavior. Narratives exert a powerful influence on human thoughts, emotions, memories, and behavior, and can be particularly important in security context, national security context. Who's the enemy? How do we control them? What are they going to do? We need to figure out, what they're going to do so we can stop them or whatever. Through an improved basic understanding of narrative effects, tools are being developed to detect brain activity associated with narrative influence and to emulate this activity in the context of larger environmental factors with models of narrative influence on individual and group behavior. It's important, and group behavior. These tools will facilitate faster and better communication of information in foreign information operations. To this end, one goal of the program is to create BCI technologies that close the loop between the story writer and consumer, allowing neural responses to a narrative stimulus to dictate the story's trajectory. In this way, moment-by-moment neural activity would drive the subsequent story outcome, resulting in an individualized narrative tailored by neural signatures associated with cognitive processes such as attention and empathy. Since the brain is the proximate cause of behavior, N2 has focused much of its early research on understanding how stories impact the brain. Using non-invasive brain imaging techniques such as EEG and functional magnetic resonance imaging, researchers have detected various brain responses to particular story elements and correlated these responses with emotional, attitudinal, and behavioral effects in the story consumer. When an individual listens to a compelling story, particular patterns of EEG activity have been shown across individuals to correlate with levels of sensory engagement, empathy, and narrative cohesion in the listener. Similarly, while watching suspenseful video clips, individuals display characteristic fMRI patterns that correlate with moments of high narrative transportation, when the listener feels more transported into the narrative world. These decoded patterns of neural activity are correlated with behavioral changes induced by the narrative. For example, investigators have predicted with high accuracy whether or not an individual will donate to a given charity after watching a related narrative based on their neural responses during the video. In conflict resolution and counterterrorism scenarios, detecting the neural response underlying empathy induced by some stories is of critical importance. N2 researchers have explored how narratives can reinforce in-group and out-group memberships and induce profound empathy gaps between members of these groups. In exploration of the neural code representing physical pain and emotional suffering, investigators used a series of 96 text-based stories which varied in the levels of physical pain and emotional suffering experienced by the protagonist. While subjective ratings of pain and suffering were highly correlated across the various stories, the neural responses to these measures were distinct even within the pain network of the brain. Therefore, measures of neural activity may give us a more precise window into the feelings and emotions induced by narrative consumption. Having detected a number of neural states associated with narrative influence, investigators are using this information to develop novel brain-in-the-loop systems to improve narrative creation and delivery. I just kind of thought of something. This like narrative networks, they're putting it like, okay, when you read a story, you'd have neural reactions, empathy and pain and things like that, and then the story would change according to that. Now think about our attacks. Think about our V2K. If you got V2K, think about what you think of your attackers, their surveillance role play, the automated things that they do. It's telling a story. I mean, it's torturing the crap out of us, but it's also telling a story about who these people are, like the automated systems and the manual shift workers. Like, I have a picture of mine right now. I have not a picture of how they look or anything like that, but a picture that they're ex-military. They may be Masonic. They don't want to do this, but they have to do it and stuff like that. Now, that's my story. That's the story of my attackers. Now, it could be, I think that that's pretty much, it's concrete that they're ex-military working for contractors, but who they are and their personalities, I think they're lying. I think it's surveillance role play. It's a story that I have reacted to the whole way, and so they have surveillance role play to fit in with what I'm thinking. Now, the concreteness of them being ex-military and working for contractors, that's probably true, but their personalities, if they want to be there or don't want to be there, those things shift it because of how I reacted to it and how they need to affect me to further do the torture and mess with my emotions and try and mess with my personality and things like that. So that would be something very heavy that we go through, like what our attackers present themselves as. Even if you don't have V2K, you probably have some kind of thought of what they are, who they are, why they're doing this. And I think a lot of it, like their personalities and stuff like that, it's made up so that it affects us more because of these narrative network strategies like that. Now, I'm not 100% sure on that, but it just sounds, that sounds very, very, there are tons of parallels there. Okay. Brain activity recordings are outputted to the system, and based on algorithms designed to detect the neural states previously mentioned, the story is intended to branch into alternative scenarios when certain states reach threshold. For example, if engagement levels drop below an optimal level, the narrative would take an alternative branch designed to increase aspects of story engagement. Now this is 100%. Okay, this is 100%. Because when I don't pay attention to my attackers, when I am focused on, watching a TV show or playing video games, and I'm just not paying attention to them, they kind of change the narrative. It's like the woman on the V2K says, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm not gonna, and it gets amped up. The story gets amped up. The surveillance role play. Now, whether they're using real things that they feel to put into that story, I don't know. But that's what our attackers, they're trying to keep our attention with the torture, with the story of who they are, especially if you have V2K. I know this may not be as match up as well if you're a targeted individual without V2K, but you guys can see where I'm going with this, where DARPA's, they do this thing where it's like they're showing this, and anybody who was not targeted would look at this and be like, oh, well, that's cool. Maybe in the future there can be stories and they'll change how when people feel. When they're losing interest in the story, something will happen to bring them back in. But we're seeing as targeted individuals how this method, this hyper game theory, when me as a target, I'm not paying attention, how the story will shift. It will shift to try and get my attention back. It can be used in dangerous ways of targeting. So you see the way that something can be presented like, oh, this is cool and stuff like that, but then the military-industrial complex can take it, contractors can take it, and they can turn anything into evil. They can turn anything into evil in a way to try and control or, hurt people, traumatize them, all the angles going off of why they're traumatizing us, why the gang stalking and everything. This is one angle of it. This is one very certain concrete angle, but many more greed, money, taking out insurance policies on people, revenge and things like that. All of those are included, but this is one very concrete angle. Okay, so in this way, this narrative testbed could be used to create optimal narratives tailored to a specific individual or group of people. Notably, advanced brain monitoring system is designed to synchronize multiple users' neural inputs into the closed-loop system. allowing for the potential to enable group-level activity to influence the narrative outcomes. So that's like a hive mind right there. Clear applications for this brain-to-computer interface technology exist not only for the N2 related goals, but also in the education and entertainment industries, and also for the torture, for non-consensual torture and human experimentation industry, which it is an industry. I mean, they're making money off of this. Contractors are getting money from the DoD. They're getting money from Army intelligence, Naval intelligence, Air Force intelligence, CIA. So this is an industry. Like what we are being attacked by, what we're being tortured by, it is an industry. They have projections for non-lethal weapons industry to like 2025. Now, hopefully our torture ends before then, but they have market forecasts for this research and development that they're doing. Now, they don't tell the people who invest in it, hey, we're torturing innocent people, we're doing non-consensual human experimentation on people, but it is an industry. I mean, they're making money off of the weapons development, sales, manufacturing, and for the security industry, getting a target. Like, I mean, because think about it, like the NSA, DHS fusion centers, they need to keep saying, okay, we're using the surveillance equipment to look into these people's lives, to watch them and stuff like that, to stay relevant, to still get money. So people say, oh, well, we need this. We need DHS fusion centers. We need the NSA spying on people because, oh, there's so many dangerous people out there. So they need to, and this is actually a point that I want to bring in. That's why it's like they want to make us do something crazy. They want to make targeted, and they want to torture us and do bad things so we do something crazy so they can see we were watching that person, and they're going to leave out the torture part. They're going to say we were watching that person, and look, they did something crazy. We need to be watching these people. So it's this cycle of just, okay, we're causing it, and then we need it. It's the Hegelian dialectic of what is it? It's problem, reaction, solution, problem, reaction, solution, problem, reaction, solution. Just cycle it until, and it's mostly just control. It's not actually any solutions. It's just more control of the populace. Okay, so neurotechnology for intelligence analysis. So this is also part of our non-consensual experimentation on us, is neurotechnology for intelligence analysis. They're trying to get data, collect data on what types of personalities do what and when and stuff like that. Now, I did talk to my V2K today because I was very upset and just really not so angry, but I'm just fed up because what I realize is that what my attackers have on me, like what they use against me, and I know this is the same way with a lot of you guys out there, they use the fact that I'm a good person. Like, that's how they get me. Like, the isolation, because I can't help my parents. I can't help my parents more. I can't have good as good of relationships as I'd like to with some people. And that's what a good person wants. A good person wants to help other people, wants to have good relationships. They want to have good relationships so they can help people more. And I realized that that's part of the game, is that I was saying this. I was saying, like, I don't know if this would work on an evil person. I don't know if targeting would work on an evil person. Because they'd be like, oh, these evil people are, hurting me. I don't give a shit about anything, and I'm just going to do whatever I want. And it really wouldn't have any psychological impact. So I'm like, probably the largest percentage of targeted individuals, I'd say a huge percentage, are very good people, because that's one of the weaknesses. And I don't think it's a weakness, and it is not a weakness, but that they see it as a weakness and they exploit that. It's one of the most easily exploitable weaknesses in human beings to these people who are doing this, is that you're good and you want to do the right thing. They can really get you in a crunch when you want to do the right thing with an impossible situation. I don't know why I went into that, but let me smoke my electronic cigarette. Sponsored by electronic cigarettes. Sponsored by glasses. This video is sponsored by Sponsored by mustaches. Okay. Oh, I feel terrible right now, guys. I'm going to sit back for a second. I'm going to start again in a second. Like my spine and my neck feel like this. My attacker's really I kind of want to talk about this, guys. You know, a lot of targeted individuals, and I've got to say that this is true. When you put out good information, when you're putting out like important information about this, your attackers will hit you harder. I can't lie about that. But it's not like, I just wanted to kind of put this in. I don't know why. It's just a point that I kind of want to make. It's not like somebody at the head of the CIA or the head of the DoD is like, oh, Kyle's putting out important information that can help other target individuals, or it can help other people become aware. These systems are set up pyramidally. So like I have my attackers that are doing shift work and automating the systems, and they watch me and torture me. And when I put this information out, they're like, hey, we look bad if we're not controlling this guy. At least if he's making videos, we got to make him look bad. We got to hurt him bad so that he comes off as nervous, or he can't get his words straight or something like that. So the top of the pyramid wants to keep information from getting out. It wants to keep untrue propaganda going out, and then anybody who's speaking the truth wants to keep them down and out. I'm just talking about directed energy weapon targeting and neurotechnology weapons targeting right now. There's a lot of other things where this happens, but you can see in this pyramidal system, it's not like the head of the DoD going, oh, Kyle's getting important information out, okay, attackers, get him. It's the attackers and the peer pressure on them and not wanting to look bad that actually makes them attack harder. And in this way, the top of the pyramid, its goals are held by, is held or produced by the people lower down in the pyramid because of their individual wants and I guess I don't know, their individual decisions and their individual, the guy, we're targeting Kyle and he's putting out all this good information. We're gonna look like we're not taking care of our target. And I guess for a lot of you guys this is common sense, but I just want to say that because I kind of get the feeling that some targeted individuals, like whistleblowers, are like, okay, I'm putting out so much important information. The top dogs at the top of the pyramid see me, and they're sicking their dogs on me. But really, the pyramidal structure works itself, which I think that it really I hate it. I hate it because the pyramidal structure is actually, evil is being very successful with it. And I don't like that. I think that everybody should be equal in their creative abilities and their production and everything like that we should all be on the same space. But I don't know. It seems to be very effective in keeping people in line and stuff like that. I'm not going to go too far into that. I don't believe in that. I think people should be free and we should have leadership, but it should be like kings who love their people or presidents who love their people. Not a pyramidal structure of control. I just think that's evil, even if it's efficient. Evil can be efficient, right? Ted Bundy was very efficient at cutting people's heads off and killing a lot of women. Doesn't mean he was good. It doesn't mean he was good for the world, but he was pretty efficient at what he did. So it's kind of like that. I guess it's kind of like that. And I've rambled on and gotten way off course. So evil can be really efficient sometimes. It doesn't mean it's right. Okay. So neurotechnology for did I already read this? The goal of NA program 2005 to 2014 was to develop new BCI systems utilizing non-invasively recorded brain signals. Non-invasively recorded brain signals. So that means it's some non-invasive technology like electromagnetic pulses, microwaves, or MRIs, magnetic resonance imaging, which is basically electromagnetic pulses. utilizing non-invasively recorded brain signals to significantly increase the efficiency and throughput of imagery analysis. In recent years, operational technologies have been developed that have exponentially increased collection and storage capabilities of intelligence data and storage of people's thoughts. That's a true one. I know to non-targeted, well, not talking to a lot of non-targeted individuals on this video, collection of what we're thinking. Storage of neural networks and imagery from our brain and everything like that. I mean, they are collecting and storing that. So scary. So scary. See, I talk about this stuff and then I'm like, yeah, no wonder I feel a connection with shows like Fear the Walking Dead and Walking Dead. No wonder. And it was so weird, like I was watching it, and at the beginning of the series, like season 1, like the zombie apocalypse is breaking out, right? There's all these problems and people are going crazy and people are like eating other people, but it wasn't on the radio for the longest time until it was like this huge problem where it was just like in everybody's faces. Even then, a lot of people weren't putting out the information, but at the beginning where it was like starting everywhere, it's like this, they show this scene where this kid at high school, he knows it. Like the news isn't reporting it. Everybody's like, oh, those are just, random coincidences or whatever. And this one kid, he's like, this is something that's connected and it's going to get worse. And, wow. I was just like, wow. I mean, because it was very honest how they did the show, like where people kind of like try and play it off and not talk about it because they're like it's going to cause a panic and stuff like that. And that's how our society is. I mean, people are being murdered in their homes, and the society is protecting the murderers. They're protecting these people at certain clearances that are like, hey, we can experiment on whoever we want. And we started this to get data and to make a lot of money and for selfish reasons and to control the population. But you guys in the population, you can't talk about this because if you talk about it, it's going to cause panic and it may hurt people. So we've got to continue killing in a lottery system, exponentially targeting more people and traumatizing them and torturing them 24 hours a day. And everybody's got to hush up because if you don't hush up, people are going to get hurt. I mean, how absurd is that? How absurd is that? And as this goes forward, more and more people are being sucked into the program and being targeted indirectly by smart meters and everything like that. So it doesn't make any sense. It's like to know these things, be aware of them, and fight them is the only way. Because down the road, when it's like kids are just born into this, they're born into, okay, well, we're killing a couple of people on the street so we can make money and develop this technology. Okay, what kind of world is that going to be? It's not going to be a world worth living in. So people, there's no other choice. There's no other choice but to speak out about this. Targeted individual or not. People who are not going through this should speak out about it. They should speak out of anything that's dangerous, anything that's hurting people. Because if it's getting worse and worse and worse and the people doing it are being protected, guess what? They're going to do it more and more. They're going to keep doing it more and more. I just feel like our society is so unprepared, and it's on purpose. It's social engineering. The way that we've been socially engineered for the last, decade. I mean, for the last century. Like, we have been socially engineered to kind of ignore really bad things and to just come home from work and whatever. And the only people who, care are the people directly being affected by it. Because everybody else is just like, well, I'm not going through that. Anyway, let me get back to this. And storage capabilities of intelligence data, including overhead imagery collected via satellites and remotely piloted aircraft. Look at that. Boom. Boom. Foundational proof, guys. Including overhead imagery collected via satellites and remotely piloted aircraft. The increase in the availability of enormous imagery datasets has led to the challenge of effectively searching through and analyzing the imagery in a timely manner with limited analytical resources. The current operational procedure for broad area search for targets in overhead imagery is an extremely time and labor-intensive brute force method, and current computer vision approaches to imagery analysis are nowhere close to matching the target detection capabilities of the human visual system. The neuroscientific basis of the BCI systems developed under NA is that upon seeing a target of interest, a unique set of neural responses, including an event-related potential known as a P300, is elicited in a person's non-invasively recorded EEG. This is talking about targeting. This is talking about how they're picking people, like how they're targeting people. Like this is it's just talking about how they get an image and then they get a non-invasively recorded EEG from anybody. The neuroscientific basis of the BCI systems developed under NA is that upon seeing a target of interest, a unique set of neural responses, including an event-related potential known as a P300, is elicited in a person's non-invasively recorded EEG. This P300 response is typically observed approximately 300 milliseconds following presentation of a target image and appears as a positive going deflection in the EEG signal compared to a signal elicited by non-target images. Neural signatures of target detection have been observed in response to targets and images presented sequentially at rapid rates of up to 20 images per second. At such fast presentation rates, it is not feasible to match target images with behavioral responses such as button presses, which are generally slower than 300 milliseconds and quite variable in response time. I'm a little bit confused as to what they're talking about. I know they're talking about gathering image data, like of the topography, and then I don't know. Y'all read this and kind of give me an idea of what you think in the comments. But it seems like they're talking about people in the image data. They're getting an EEG from them. Ooh, Virginia. I wonder who that is. All right. What is the narrative? The NIA systems. What is NIA? I'm gonna have to go back. Okay, Neurotechnology for Intelligence Analysts. The Neurotechnology for Intelligence Analyst systems encompassed a human-in-the-loop approach that leveraged the use of new decoding algorithms to detect neural signatures of target detection on a single trial basis. Satellite images were divided into small segments and then presented to imagery analysis at rates between 0.5 and 10 images per second, while the analyst's brain responses were measured with EEG. The neuroweapons intelligence analyst systems decoding classifiers were designed to automatically detect spatiotemporal features within the EEG signal associated with viewing targets as compared to non-target images. Additionally, the NIA target detection classifiers integrated computer vision, eye tracking data, and/or EEG correlates of attention. Based on output from the system's classification algorithms, image segments were either given a prioritization score based on their calculated probability of containing a target, or marked as a potential target. Images marked as a potential target images based on the classifier's threshold levels of brain responses. What? Satellite imagery locations most likely to contain targets were then presented back to the user for final verification and assessment. Importantly, given that target detection brain responses are largely independent of target type or modality, the BCI systems developed under the NIA program are able to immediately adapt to changes in operational requirements, such as searching for new and/or multiple classes of targets in different imagery modalities. Thus, the NIA approach eliminates the need for cumbersome system parameter adjustments required for detection of new types of targets by systems relying solely on computer vision approaches. In a series of formal evaluations conducted on the 3 of the NIA systems, with over 40 professional imagery analysis in 2008 to 2009, use of the NIA systems resulted in up to a 10-fold increase in analysis throughput, area of imagery analyzed per unit time, with no loss of target detection sensitivity as compared to the analyst performance using their standard imagery analysis approaches. I guess that's like using neurotechnology for people to find targets, like in a war situation, or it seems like it would just be a direct parallel with targeted individuals and how they track us. I mean, y'all tell me if I'm wrong there. I mean, that seems just exactly like we're being tracked. So they're using satellites and they're using aircraft. You know, we're also being tracked by our brainwave signature too, but it seems like this goes into our targeting and them tracking us, you know, where we go. Wow. I didn't read this before I read it because I have such ADD from this, so probably if I'm reading y'all something and I'm going through it, it's the first time I've seen it too, which is not smart, but hey, we can discover things together, and I know basically the general topic is going to be important to us, and this is very, very important to us, but I find some new stuff that's very weird and crappy every time. Okay, general NIA workflow. So it's like tracking targets, which would probably be used in tracking where we're going and things like that. Probably other stuff too, but this is probably involved too. Okay, we're gonna pass that up. Cognitive technology threat warning systems. I guess this is important. Yeah, this is important. I'll just read till the end. Oh wow. Maybe I won't. Oh, okay, we're almost to the end here. I'll just go ahead and read all the way through. There's going to be lots of important stuff in here. Let's see. I want to go through this because this is like using neurotechnology for threat warning systems on like visual surveillance. And it seems like all this stuff really does go in. All of this stuff really goes into you know, our targeting. It goes into our targeting. It probably goes into other things too, like, you know, targeting of enemy combatants in the military. But it probably also goes into monitoring us and surveilling us and assessing threat levels on. Okay, well let's just go through some of it, and I may skip closer to the end because I got to eat soon. Okay, Cognitive Technology Threat Warning Systems, CT2WS. Like the NIA program, CT2WS, initiated in 2007, funded the development of a non-invasive BCI system that detects the human user's target detection brain responses, including the P300 as measured by EEG. Rather than detecting targets in overhead imagery, however, the goal of CT2WS is to detect potential threats during real-time surveillance operations. For the purposes of demonstration, the program focused on surveillance from a forward operating base, for which threats included vehicles, mounted forces, and individuals on foot, dismounted forces. The system, developed by a research team at HRL Laboratories, LLC, utilizes advanced flat field wide-angle optics and high pixel count digital imagers to record real-time surveillance video. My mouth is real dry. Neuromorphic computer vision algorithms designed to emulate the brain's visual system are used to detect potential threats within the video. The system then presents still frames containing these potential threats in rapid succession to the user method referred to as rapid serial vision representation, or RSVP. The user's neural signals enable further classification of potential threats. When a threat is detected, a visual cue is provided to the user, alerting the user to focus on that image. Let's go through this. Let's pass this up. Low-cost EEG technologies. You guys can come and look at this in the article. I'm going to try and find some more concise data on this and maybe go through that a little bit on the beginning of one of my other videos, but I may do that in the future. This is very, very detailed and long, but y'all can come here and check it out. It's all very important, and this is the kind of technology used in our targeting. It's also used in many, many other things by intelligence agencies. Okay, let's read this. Let's read what they think the future efforts and challenges for brain-to-computer interface technologies. Given the latest advances in brain-to-computer interfaces, a number of challenges remain in optimizing the capabilities, robustness, and usability of such systems, including the development of BCI devices for human use. One needed capability advancement is the development of enhanced recording techniques that enable real-time measurements of neural activity and structure across a wide range of spatial scales. This is what I was talking about. From 1 to millions of neurons. This is what's being researched right now. This is one angle of what's being researched on us. And they have, they probably perfected it in certain ways. A new DARPA program, okay, wait. And temporal scales from milliseconds to years. Yeah. A new DARPA program entitled Neurofunction Activity, Structure, and Technology, NeuroFast, aims to develop novel optical methods to enable real-time functional recording of thousands of neurons with single neuron resolution in awake behaving animals and people. They're doing it. They're doing this to people. When they say, oh, we're doing these animal tests, blah, 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 blah. They're doing people tests. They're doing people tests on anything that they do. Even DARPA, it was probably doing non-consensual experimentation on humans with the small experimentation. Now it's moved out to mass experimentation. Nobody, when the military-industrial complex says we're just doing this on animals, do not believe them. They are not. They are doing it to human beings. Likewise, to effectively implement BCI systems for clinical use by individuals with less severe clinical cases or who are unwilling to undergo the risk of neurosurgery, or for enabling efficient performance by healthy users, there exists a need for the development of subcutaneous and fully non-invasive neural interfaces that are both portable and capable of recording activity from cortical and deep brain structures at high spatial and temporal resolution, and they're doing this now. They're doing this with electromagnetic pulses, with remote electromagnetic pulses and remote neurotechnology. So they have this. What they're talking about, they need non-invasive methods. They have this and are researching and developing it more. Listen to targeted individuals. I know, well, if you are not a targeted individual that's watching this video, thank you for coming. Please research this more and please help us. Help us. As new technologies enable progressively more neural, physiological, and behavioral data to be collected, the need for improved computational processing and mathematical dimensionality reduction techniques will increase exponentially in order to facilitate effective analysis and use of the data. These needs are especially essential for closed-loop BCI systems that rely on automated, real-time analysis of recorded neural signals, remote neural monitoring. Effective analysis and integration of data across research groups will also require revolutionary new approaches to data sharing, including standardization of protocols and data formats, ability to effectively merge data across multiple modalities and scales, and incentive structures that promote sharing of data and collaborative efforts across individual laboratories. Notably, new efforts under DARPA's brain function research portfolio, high priority is being placed on the sharing of newly developed protocols and resulting data. While DARPA has long placed an emphasis on collaboration across multidisciplinary research teams, selection criteria for new efforts also include requirements for sharing data among DARPA-funded teams, as well as making data available to the broader scientific research community at an accelerated pace. We've been going for a long time here. Let's read this. They just talk about the good stuff, you know. They just really spin it to where it's just all good stuff, and all the research and development is for the good of humans, and they're just torturing the crap out of me and my family and you guys. Let me just read this one last paragraph, and I think I'm going to wrap it up, guys. I might find something a little bit less, what's the word? Just something more concise that kind of lays it down a little bit better so I can give a summary. Instead, this is kind of, you know, going through every facet of what they're doing, and it's mostly putting up the good things. Like, I mean, I think somebody should be able to have a limb that can feel if they've lost a limb. I mean, that's awesome. That is awesome. But what they're really doing to people, and the reasons they're doing this to people, is a lot more than just giving some people some false limbs, stuff like that. 2 new programs under DARPA's Brain Function Research portfolio were established in 2014 to quantitatively characterize the complex neuronal networks underlying both healthy and aberrant cognitive and behavioral function, and to develop devices that deliver advanced therapeutic neural stimulation to human clinical populations. The systems-based neurotechnology for emerging therapies, see, they just say, oh, it's neural stimulation for good. They're neurally stimulating our nervous systems to torture us and to make us maybe do something crazy or something like that. It's bullshit that... Let me just finish. I'm just going to finish reading this paragraph, and then I'm done with this, guys. Important information, though. Come and check it out. And I might try and find something more concise, which I've said. I think I've said that like 5 or 6 times now. Okay, so the Systems-Based Neurotechnology for Emerging Therapies program aims to address the problem of the state-of-the-art methodologies for treating complex neuropsychiatric and neurological disorders involve imprecise surgical... Man, I'm having trouble reading today. This is scary. Involve imprecise surgical, pharmacological, psychotherapy, or deep brain stimulation, approaches that are implemented through a slow trial and error based process. This is a particular challenge for the U.S. military, as in recent years veterans receiving mental health care from the Department of Veterans Affairs have constituted almost 1/3 of the total number of veterans receiving health care from the VA. The Subnets program will attempt to develop novel neural interfaces and therapeutic approaches for human patients with intractable illnesses by developing fully implantable medical devices for multi-site systems-based neural recordings, deriving new computational models to characterize the distributed neural interactions that underlie a variety of neuropsychiatric and neurological conditions, and delivering safe, targeted therapeutic neural stimulation through closed-loop BCI. That's talking about implants. They're going to implant people, and then they're going to stimulate it from afar. Remote implants, and that's an admittance, and they're saying it's only going to be used for good. And people are saying they have implants in their bodies, and it's actually hurting them. That's why this is complete and utter bullshit. I mean, they're talking about it, implanting people in the VA, and then nerve stimulation with that implant remotely. This is what targeted individuals are talking about, but it's negative. They're not helping us. It's not neurostimulation for the good of humanity. It's torturing and traumatizing us. So read between the lines here. And it's not only implants, you know, there's so much other stuff, nanotechnology and nanoparticulates. It's so much more advanced than what even DARPA's putting out right here. And that's, I mean, that's to be expected. I don't know why I'm angry, because I mean, that's to be expected, that they're not going to say where they're really at. They're going to put some of this information out to the public, so the public claps. Oh, our authority figures are so good. They're so good. If I lose a limb, they'll help me out. They'll implant something in my brain or something like that, and then it can make me feel again. And then millions of people across the world are being just targeted and their families destroyed. Clap for authority figure. Clap. We'll clap for them. They're so good. They're so good to us. While I'm being like, when I go, they hurt me the most when I'm in my sleep. So, like any kind of like our attackers being tough or militaristic tough guys. I mean, my attackers hurt me the most when I'm unconscious. Like, how much cowardice is that? How much cowardice is that? These are not strong, smart people doing this. These are fucking imbeciles. Like, sorry for cussing. I might be cussing a lot. Sorry. Don't let your children watch this video unless they're targeted. In which case, they're probably cussing too. Because I would be if I was a child being targeted. Which I might have been. Okay, so I think I'm done with this, guys. It's, you know, a lot of it, it's important that we know the research that they're doing and what kind of like neurotechnology and EEG and magnetic resonance stuff that they're saying that they're using. They're using many more things than that. I don't like it how they're only showing the positive things, but that's to be expected. You guys come check this out, and I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video. I think maybe I'll do this weekend, you know, because Christmas is coming up, and, you know, we need some more hope. I feel like this does, like, I needed to go through it just to see what was in it. I'm going to probably do this together with you guys a lot, because this is the only way I can get myself to research it, to research important stuff, is by doing videos and just going through it with you guys. But I think the next, I might do a live stream, kind of thinking about it, and do something that kind of uplifts, and just uplifts us for the holidays and things like that. Maybe I'll do a lot of those this month. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how I feel. But you guys out there getting the message out, you know, getting information out to help other targeted individuals. You targeted individuals just surviving this. You know, just surviving this. Hang in there, and do your best. Just fight the best, do the best, and, you know, I really, you know, we're gonna be okay. We're gonna be okay. There's gonna be information coming out about this. People are gonna understand. We've gotta have that hope. You know, we're gonna be okay. All right, guys. I love y'all. I pray that everybody who's like putting out information or just working real hard, just God give them strength. Give strength to every target individual out there. Give strength to their families. Please just put it in people's hearts and minds, even that are not targeted, what kind of stuff is going on in society, so that they can help us, so that they can not participate in this stuff. And thank you for all the good things that you've given us, God. All right, guys. I'll see y'all on the next one. I love y'all. I'm about to eat some fish. Probably watch The Walking Dead too. But all right. I'll probably do a, you know, live stream pretty soon. Do some positive stuff. If I can find some more concise information about this, I'll put that out. There's just so much information out there, and I was gonna go into something today, but I'll wait till later. But this is where this stuff is coming from that's hitting us. This is the kind of research and development expanded out and done remotely. They were even talking about it at the VA, how they're doing this. But all right, guys, I will see you on the next one. I love y'all. Stay prayed up, stay faithed up, stay hoped up. You know, just believe that we can do this, that we can, even in the face of this, we can have victory. We can be honorable. We can fight in the right ways, but fight fight nonetheless, but fight in the right ways, and we'll find our way through this mess. We're gonna find our way through this mess, and I'll be working as hard as I can until I can't no longer. And I love you guys. All right, I'll see you on the next one.